Cool, and we're back with another episode today, and it's the Bucket List. Today we're doing things a little bit different. Usually we're in person, but we're doing things a little virtual. Let me know. You know who it is. Kareem Green, better name is Money Green. KG. We got Rockstar OZ up to the right hand corner. Introduce yourself
Yeah,
one more time.
it's your boy, Dakari, also known as Rockstar OZ, musician, producer, all that. Doing something a little special this episode,
Yes, sir. All right. So this episode we got today, we have the Scholars of the American Explorer Program. A part of the Arthur Blank Foundation, and we're going to come in talk about the importance of voting. So right now, we're going to have each and every one of you introduce yourselves. So we're going to start off with whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. So my name is Quintavious Wimberly. I'm a member of the American Explorers Foundation. I go to Washington High School. I'm a freshman, and I do painting in my spare time. Wait, what happened? Yeah, and that's about it.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Okay, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Shamia. I'm part of American Explorers. I go to Mays High School. Um, are we supposed to say a fun fact? Are we?
I mean, you can if you want to.
I like to skate, but yeah, my name is Shamia. I go to Mays. That's it, really.
Alrighty.
Hi, my name is Chloe, and I go to Washington High School.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jemiah. I go to Washington High School.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Aquavius, and I go to Washington High School.
Alrighty.
Hello,
Hey,
my name is Angel
Dylan.
Walker. Oh.
My name is Dylan. I go to Cristo Rey. I'm a junior. I'm a member of American Explorers Program.
All right. Angel, introduce yourself one more time.
Hello, my name is Angel Walker, and I go to Booker T. Washington.
All right, cool. All right. So before we start everything, I'm gonna just say this is the overview and the purpose of the show. It's time to make a change, and voting can be a very good stepping zone, right? There's a quote by President Abraham Lincoln, and he says, "The ballot is stronger than the bullet." So my first major question would be is, do you believe the ballot is stronger than the bullet itself?
Can you elaborate more?
Okay, so basically what that quote is saying is, if you really want to make a change in our democracy, instead of going to war or fighting over it, you can simply vote your difference or your change into it.
Yeah, I agree with voting because everybody with voting it makes a difference, and even if you know how Trump puts judges on the Supreme Court and he has his representatives, and even if you do vote, they still go through a different process. Voting still matters in the world to keep the democracy.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence about it because I know voting is important, but then at the same time, a lot of people have to understand that the ratio between like a no vote is a vote for Donald Trump, like that stuff going on. I believe that it's very, very like rigged nowadays. So I don't believe that your vote matters as much as a lot of people tell you, but I do believe that every small thing counts. I do think it's powerful because, at first we didn't have this right. And now that we do, it's crazy. But, well, not I've always had it, but like, our ancestors and stuff. And I do believe in like fighting for what you want because that's what our ancestors and what America has always had to do. So that's why I'm kind of like, hand in hand with it.
Okay, you said one thing I kind of want you to elaborate on. You said not voting is a vote for Trump. Can you explain that?
Seeing as though he's already president and stuff, like the people who voted, his what's it called? Like I'm just gonna call it fan base. His fan base is very strong, and he has like a lot of power in politics and stuff. But it goes more than just his fan base and stuff. It's like, how do I explain this? How the government is sectioned and stuff. Like the executive votes, they count more than like popular votes. That's how he won last election. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Okay.
seeing as though he's already in office, if you don't vote for somebody else, it's like automatically going to even out anyways. That's
Yes.
what I meant.
I mean, that's a phrase that I've definitely heard quite often. Like, if you don't go, if you just say I'm not going to vote, then it's just like that could have been a vote against him. So it's just like technically, I mean, like I don't 100% agree with that statement, but it is some truth to it. If you don't go and do anything, then it's like nothing will change type deal. So you can't expect him to get out of office if you didn't vote against him,
Yeah, that's true though. So I guess that goes hand in hand
technically.
with the question. Um, do you feel like your voice is truly heard? You know, anybody?
That's a question right there.
Um, in my opinion, no, not at all. Even with grown-ups, even with people older than me, it's not everybody, but it's a point where you get to this certain power that you have, and it's like everybody under you, you don't have to listen to them. So even if I'm just 14, and if I told a 20-year-old person, go vote, go do this, go do that, I'm younger than them, so they feel like they have a certain power over me that they don't have to listen to me, and it's just a balance. But I feel like every young person should be heard because we, as in our generation, and where y'all grew up in, is totally different. We grew up in a totally different generation, so in a sense, we know a little bit more on one side of things, and y'all know a little bit more on the other side of things. So I think that we should try to come up with a balance of all of it.
Okay.
It makes sense.
I agree with what he said because like grown-ups are very, very like I feel like a lot of them are immature. Like they feel as though just because we're young that counts for our like knowledge and stuff, like a lot of times, and a lot of people don't listen to what we say.
Yeah.
So and then I think it's crazy that all these old people are like making decisions for like young people, and I think that's like very stupid to me.
Okay. So do you feel like the older generation, like you said, is making decisions for the young people? So, for example, one of the biggest things they talk about during the campaign, or I don't know if y'all been watching the debates, they bring up global warming, right? And that affects everybody on the world. But in a sense, the older generation is saying, well, we don't really believe in global warming, or we're just going to keep doing it our own type of way. So how do you feel about that? Like, should they be making a format or a question or a change in the world that's going to affect you, or should we be making those changes?
I feel like we should be making the changes that affect long term because we're gonna be here longer than y'all. So we're gonna experience more of the effect of what we do on the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I touch on that point for a second, real quick?
Okay, go.
So I kind of agree with what you guys just said, but I still think it's like a universal thing. Like everybody needs to, pitch in when it comes to things that affect generations and the whole world because it's so important. Like our ancestors did what they did for us. They did this for us. They made it to where you could vote for us. Even going back to slavery, they did this so that the future generations could have a better life. And if you think about yourself, I know me personally, if I was in an older person's situation and I had a kid or something like that, I wouldn't want them to live in a world where every time they go outside, it's like black smoke and the ice caps are melted and you can't even like drink fresh water or something like that. I'm not saying it's gonna get to that point, but like you just kind of have to think about the future because it's not just all about you, kind of.
Hmm.
That's a great
I
point.
agree with what he said, and I believe that's like the problem because everybody like oh my god, they're not getting it. They just don't believe. No, I feel like they do know, but like it's more of a selfish reason, and like that's not gonna change, and I don't believe it is gonna change. Um, they turn everything into politics. Some things that should be separate from politics, and some things that should be separate from law. They involve like religion and stuff, and it's very very biased, and I believe that the global warming arguments that they have has to do with corporate America. Not even just corporate America, just like corporate everywhere, because it's a lot of businesses that would be affected if they tried to, help global warming. Um, and it's not even that expensive, but seeing as like the war state that we are in now with America, like our funding is like very unproportional and very unnecessary. So I feel as though like I forgot my point what I was saying, but yeah, I think it's very biased, and I don't think it's gonna change. Just I feel like it is gonna change, but probably like when a lot of people get out of office, because it's very, very like about business that shouldn't be about business.
Yeah. And there's a
Can I
big.
touch on?
Okay, go.
Yeah, as she was saying, it's just way more important than anything else because I feel like when grown-ups get in this situation, like they go off of what they think they already know, but our generation, like we look up everything. We go online, Instagram, Safari, Google, whatever. We look up everything. I feel like the government and everything else is just all about money and money and money and money, and the system is rigged to the point where everybody is getting paid except low income people. So with all this global warming and stuff, it's like they don't care. It's just about the money. So that's what I think.
Okay. So I'm gonna go off your point, and I'm gonna ask the major question here. Do you feel like elected officials really care about the citizens at all? And I guess from a sense of what y'all have been telling me is that they don't. Does anyone want to elaborate on that?
No, they. So you said, wait, say that one more time.
Do elected officials care about the U.S. citizens?
No, not at all.
Definitely not. They care
Yeah,
about it when it benefits them. That's what happens a lot.
and I'm not gonna lie, it's probably a few people, but with them, they don't outweigh the amount of Trump supporters in office with them, with all his representatives and all his judges. It's probably is some people that's trying to make it right, but they don't outweigh the amount of people that's really trying to get money.
Okay.
I kind of agree with what he just said, but I feel like some some candidates that get into office who are for the people kind of become changed, not necessarily corrupt, but in order to stay in office, they probably look around them and see a whole bunch of corrupt politicians and see like they're one of the only ones who are actually fighting for the people. And I don't know if this is true, but even if you are fighting for the people, like a lot of people don't notice the good politicians sometimes. You only notice the bad ones because like, they'll put on TV, they stole money, they won't release their taxes or something like that.
Mhm.
But the good ones, they don't get recognition, and then they see politicians who are making a whole bunch of money and aren't getting outed from office or aren't even producing results and aren't getting outed from office. So they shift to that side too, not because they're not for the people or anything, but just because they see all the other politicians doing it. So it's like, kind of the norm.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I don't make excuses for those politicians, because if you're quiet, then you're on their side. I don't care if you like believe in your heart. You might be for the people, but like you not saying anything is like against it. It's very biased. Yeah, like those politicians, they do get pushed aside a lot, but that's because we're in a Republican state. I don't like we're in a Republican state. That's exactly what it is. And how television and democracy works in America, because that's where I'm at, it's very, very, very biased, and it's very like controlling and corporate. So when those good politicians, they're not stating their points, they're not doing anything, they're not out here in the streets with people, I feel as though they're very scary. And if you're in politics and you're supposed to do your job, not sit back just because an older politician than you, is very, condescending. I don't understand that at all.
Okay. Anybody else? Angel. I see a Reed that popped in and a last name James. Do you have any points that you would like to say?
Anybody go see?
I feel like I guess the system won't really change as much because it's you got still the same people sitting in the system, and all the time they sitting there over the years, it just becomes nothing to them. So you won't get much of a change. That's just how I feel.
Right. So the next question I have is, what's the difference from each party? A lot of people say all I can see is donkey and elephant. They don't know what Republican or Democrat is. Do you feel like you see a difference between the parties, or do you starting to see the parties just become more separate? It was one point in America where people could have both views of being a Democrat or a Republican, but now there's a sense where people are starting to separate. Like, if I'm a Republican, I will never even try to communicate with a Democrat because I don't want to see their views. Do you feel like both parties should start seeing each other's views and hearing each other out and have an equal balance? Or should we just stay separate and fight it out that way?
I think
It's
with everything that's going on, we should most definitely find an equal balance because I was reading online yesterday they was like stimulus bill, the last day for this Tuesday, they still couldn't find you know, a cause or a agreement to come to. So with everything that's going on, I don't get why they're trying to make it about money or why they're trying to make it about them when it's people actually don't have anything. So even if the Democrat side is really trying to do something and the Republican side is they're separate, it's not about them. Even if they don't really care about us, at the end of the day, our economy is failing, so we need to do something about it.
yeah. My point on that is I feel like they're both like they have like the same like structure, but like it's like they're both in it for money, but they're just trying to get it in different ways about the economy, and they are very stubborn. And I feel like in politics it shouldn't be like that because it's the United States. We're supposed to be united, and we can't be split on every single serious decision that we have. So I feel like 1 second.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep saying from which.
So
Wait, you can keep going.
oh yeah, so like on that decision and stuff, I feel like they're both kind of structured the same, but I feel like it shouldn't be so, split. And I feel like it's been pushed, segregated inside of government and stuff. I feel like they both got like the same like initiative, but they're just very stubborn.
Okay.
I was about to ask, do y'all think in school they really even specific? I'm messing up on the word. Do you think they really go into detail of the difference between the two, or it's just like they kind of just push Democrat because for the most part, Black people always go Democrat.
Good question.
Do anybody else want to answer? Go on.
Me, I feel like school doesn't really talk about it at all. They don't like certain things in school that they should talk about. They don't. So like, yeah, like democracy. I mean, they tell you what it is, but they don't go into depth about what the difference is and how each party can affect the economy and stuff like that.
So they tell you what democracy is. So tell me what the school version of democracy is and what you have learned from democracy. And you tell us what's the difference.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, dang it. Well, it's been a while. I mean, I don't really talk about I don't really talk about, the economy and stuff like that. But I feel like a democracy is a way to put people in power.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yeah, as she was saying, in 8th grade, I had this teacher named Mr. Dunstan. He was a ELA teacher, and he spoke on a lot of stuff that school never spoke about, that I never even heard about before in my whole entire school year. So he spoke about a lot of things, and we really got to learn a lot. And they don't speak about anything about democracy or the Republicans. They don't speak about any government stuff. They just speak about the usual stuff, the slavery and all of that. They don't speak about how slavery, if it was good or bad. They don't speak about, the politicians. They don't speak about everything else that's going on in the world. So I agree with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like school is very censored. I feel like it's very like biased in a sort. It kind of keeps us in the shade because most of everything I learned in politics, I learned on my own. I had Mr. Durston too, and he really helped because well, I love ELA and stuff. But his like class discussions were like I think were great for students to have, and I feel like a little bit upset that students don't have that because that's how like people get they don't understand because they haven't been open to it. So I totally understand like like people who haven't gone through it and stuff and how they're like very biased because they haven't gone through it, they haven't learned it. School is very biased. It's extremely biased and censored. Like even with slavery, like they don't even teach like facts and stuff about it, like numbers and like how big it is. Cause like I learned like a lot of stuff on slavery of my own that like I was like, why didn't they not teach this in school and stuff? Yeah, and it's crazy to me. Thank you. That's it.
Going off like
Mm.
what you said, I feel like school doesn't teach you like the bad side of history. Like they teach you about like they tell you about the basics of slavery and like what slavery was, but they don't go into depth about how it actually affected the world. And yeah,
Our people.
and like I took Mr. Dunstan class last year too. So like when we started talking about Martin Luther King and how they only taught us about the I Have a Dream Martin Luther King. They didn't teach us about the other speeches that he gave and stuff like that.
So why is that? Why do you think they downplay all these important events?
Mm.
Because I feel like if you don't know, then you're not gonna fight for it and seeing as though like they're in power and they have an incentive behind everything that they do. Um, it's not even just like about race. They had like a lot of stuff like misogyny and it's very homophobic. The stuff that they don't teach is very it's very discriminative. I didn't even learn about the reason. I didn't learn about everything that happened in 9/11. I thought that it was just terrorists that bombed the Twin Towers. I didn't know that the war that was going on before. I didn't know anything about that until I learned from my own self.
Mm.
I didn't learn about Christopher Columbus in school. I learned about it on my own and what he did truly. I didn't really know about Native Americans in school. I learned it on my own about what happened to them, truly, truly what happened to them and stuff. So I think it's like very messed up what they don't teach in schools.
Mhm.
And I don't feel like it's going to change unless it's like unless like an independent organization that does something about it. Because like with the government and stuff, like it's all about business.
Yeah, I agree most definitely because you look at it at a certain point where it's like you never learned this, but then you go home and research it and you learn so much about this one thing, and it's like, why didn't we learn this in school? And my opinion is that, everybody heard the term before. The white man wrote the books, the white man wrote all our history books. So there's no telling what we really know and what we think, if that makes sense, what we know and what we think. So I just think that it was structured to the point where we should only know certain things and some things should be kept in the dark. But if we go and research it on our own, then we can find out different things.
Facts. I like agree. See, before I went to like a predominantly black school, I was around very whitewashed people, a very whitewashed culture or whatever. And have you ever heard how like Republicans be like, "This is the best country in the world"? We're this,
Absolutely.
yeah, like okay, I'm so ashamed. Before I got into politics, I was around that, so I really didn't question it because
That was the
that's where I
norm.
was around and
Yeah.
stuff. And see, I was like looking back, like people really thought that, and I knew something was wrong when I had, you know, when I was like, when I didn't question like a lot of things, and I was like, oh my god, like this is actually happening right now. Um, yeah, I knew something was wrong when I low key was like, America's the best country in the world. I regret saying it, but yeah, that's what I was like. And then I got educated and stuff. So yeah.
So
Um,
Go
my
ahead.
bad for cutting you off. But I wanted to say, like, when it comes to learning about, I think somebody said the dark side of history. You know, when it comes to the Black community, um, on the lesson plan, it's just gonna say teach them about slavery. So I think it's up to the teachers to expand on that and tell us how it affects us today. Like y'all said, y'all had a teacher, I forgot his name, but he really went in depth. I'm pretty sure that was his choice because on the lesson plan, I'm positive it didn't tell him to do that. That was his choice to, include the details and stuff like that. Whereas I'm not saying this is completely true, but like I think about it from time to time in a school where it's predominantly white, they may just like teach the lesson plan because it doesn't really affect those students as much as it does us. So I feel like it's up to our teachers and the students who are gonna become teachers to teach this to the past and the future generations so that we can stay educated.
But when it comes to the education system, certain topics they can't touch on. So like
Really?
things that do matter, they can't talk about.
So what topics can they not touch on then?
Like
They can't talk about certain, things that have to do with like gay people, gay rights and stuff. They can't talk about stuff like that. They can't talk about like homophobia and like serious discussions. I'm sorry, Chloe, I cut you off.
they fine.
They can't talk about. They couldn't talk. I didn't learn. I just realized that I really didn't learn a lot about slavery in elementary. Like they skipped over that like part. I was like very confused. But like they don't teach a lot of stuff that happened that's very misogynistic. They don't teach about a lot of stuff that happened in slavery. Like other than they picked cotton and they were whipped. They don't teach a lot of stuff about that. They teach. I mean, yeah, that's what they are. They just like all they teach. They don't really go in depth about it. They don't talk about statistics and how it affects us now. So that's why all of these Republicans and Trump supporters, they're just like they didn't learn about it. Because they don't talk about it and they can't talk about it. Even people in the Black community, teachers, Black teachers, is like crazy because they don't even really care. Like thankful, like Mr. Dunstan is very rare because like I've never had a teacher that actually because he didn't listen to like stuff that you're not supposed to do. He's like, I'm gonna teach y'all this. They didn't tell y'all to teach me this, but I'm gonna teach y'all this anyway. Yeah, they just don't teach a lot of stuff that is very diverse, is very conservative, is very whitewashed, is very
And I feel like they don't teach it because if they do teach it, then it causes people to actually think. So it causes like if they did some of the stuff that they were like that actually changed, then the world would be a lot different. People would actually want to do stuff. They would
Can I
actually
chime
want
in?
to
Yeah. So I agree with that. And first, I just want to say shout out Mr. Dunstan too. He was a school teacher. He was an ELA teacher, by the way, and he taught history. And yeah, like he was just a good teacher. But I want to say that even if people have so many conservative opinions and opinions that they just keep inside and they don't talk about, and I'm the type of person that I'm going to say what no one says, what people say that you're not supposed to say, but I'm going to say it because it should be said, and that's the reason why our country is like it is now, because people don't say what they think. Even if you are a Trump supporter, there's so many people that Trump supporters and don't say anything about it because you know how much discrimination and stuff Trump supporters get. But if that's what you believe, then say it. But that's the reason why our country is like it is now because everybody is so conservative and just discriminative about their opinions.
Okay.
That's right.
So
yeah, like let me just say this one thing. I feel like in the Black community, like I know there's a lot of secret Republicans and they're scared to say it because they think that every Black person should be democratic and stuff. Like, but I personally, I've had that because I have a lot of Republican views, but if I was a voter, I would consider myself independent. Yeah, I feel like Black people, like it's on both sides of the spectrum. Like you might be scared to come out as a Trump supporter, you might be scared to come out as like a Republican if you're Black. I feel like it's both of those things that carry on. So I was adding to what he said, but you can continue talking.
okay, so the next question we got a lot of people that's kind of been answering the same question, so we're gonna market this question to a different type of to different people. So the question I'm asking is, all what you've been saying, how do you know who to vote for? And a system that's not built for us, or a system that's definitely again not built for us, how do you know who to vote for? And how does it impact the young voter? So I'm gonna go for Andrew, Maya, and Jeremiah to answer these questions real quick for me, or Jamia.
You say, how do I know who to vote for?
Yeah, how do you know who to vote for in a system that's not built for us?
I just choose who I think is best for my future.
Okay.
Fair, that's straightforward. Or like to further the question, like when we're, because I know y'all see these ads and see these campaigns, and is it like when y'all see these things there, do you get certain feelings like watching it, like, all right, even if the
Yeah.
person is talking good, like, because it would be like, oh, if you vote for me, I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'll save the community. Do you even if the person is Democrat, do you feel as if when you see these things on TV, you kind of can tell the difference, or is just like, or it's just everybody just talking crap, or they really mean what they say? Like, go into detail of like how you feel when you're actually seeing like these people trying to win your vote, even though I know y'all can vote.
I
Should
can
I
tell the
let them
difference.
answer?
You can go.
Oh, my bad.
You can go.
Oh, yeah. Dang, I got off track. So you
Yeah.
said when we see, yeah. So as I was saying, it's like at this point, it's a pro and a con. It's an ends to meet a good with Trump and Biden. But in my opinion, it's like dating. You go out with someone and they're good at first and they make a good impression. And then in the middle of the relationship is like a whole different person. You actually get to know this
That
person.
thing go downhill.
Yeah, you're preaching
Mhm.
now.
Yeah,
You're preaching.
yeah, like
That's a perfect analogy.
perfect. See, when I see some of these little ads that they got, sometimes I laugh because it's like pathetic at how fast they switch up. Like Trump recently
Man,
said something about like he was gonna do it, and I was like, didn't he say that like the last like two
4 years
times
ago.
like, and he still hasn't done them all. He see, I noticed that Trump, when it peaks in something that he has that somebody wants him to do, he'll say it in his ad. But then when he gets elected, he all of a sudden forgets that. It goes the same for Biden. Biden has lied multiple times in his ads, and it's very misleading. I don't support him at all. But I do feel when I look at these ads, I feel like I feel like it's funny. I get annoyed. If it wasn't so powerful and stuff, if they didn't have such a high position in office, like I feel like this would be like a reality show. Like I would be like, oh, let me watch this. This is funny. But like now it's like, okay, you're not supposed to be playing like that. You're in office. Now they're at this point they're throwing cheap shots. Like those debates that they got going on, that was pathetic. Both of them were. Um I feel like it's such a joke right now, to be honest.
So one of the main questions they asked during the debate, they were dealing with the pandemic. Like, I'm gonna ask y'all, how do you feel like the pandemic is being handled?
It's not being
Disgusting.
handled at all.
It's disgusting.
They,
Like,
I feel like they're saying they're gonna do something about it, but at the end of the day, especially Trump, he's not gonna do nothing about it. And another thing about the pandemic is when my brother, so we had these discussions at home all the time. I mean, I don't participate, but my brother, he came and he said if people vote for Biden, everything is just gonna go back to normal. Like, I mean, we're still gonna have a pandemic, but nothing is gonna really change. But he said if people vote for Trump, then people are actually gonna start seeing what's going on in the world because he
yeah.
she's just something. He's something different.
So
So
what is normal though?
Hmm?
meaning like it's I don't
pre-pandemic,
yeah,
Pre-pandemic.
I guess.
like
Pre-pandemic.
where nobody is worried about anything
Yeah.
and nothing is happening.
Do
So
you
would
think?
you
I
want to
think that
go back to a sense of being normal where we don't know what's going on, or there's hidden things such as like, hey, I don't know that someone just got shot over here for being black. Like that was in the point where everything was normal that these things were hidden. Would you rather
See,
be in a hidden society or know everything?
I'd
can I
rather
ask
know everything
Know everything.
because if I know
Yeah.
something, then it's more likely. If people know more things, then it's more likely that more things are gonna change.
Right.
hmm
But in
Y'all
my
know that
opinion,
phrase that says like ignorance is bliss? I feel like that is a universal phrase that like a lot of Republicans use, a lot of Trump supporters use. During the pandemic, I watched Obama say that they had a pandemic playbook and stuff, and I'm like, what happened to that? And I feel it's like some stocks that like major politicians were involved in, their stocks like rose like so much during the pandemic, like pandemic like highs and stuff. They immediately invested in stocks. So I know this is business. They're not gonna do anything about it because those stocks will go down. The business investments will go down. I feel like even though nobody's gonna know what's happening, which they will, because it's gonna be weird when you see like a whole lot of people dying and stuff like that. Um, it's just very ignorant, and they want to go back to a state of bliss where they don't have to worry, where they're not made uncomfortable for doing wrong things and stuff. So I feel like it will never go back to a state of normalcy because everybody's trying to get woke and stuff like that. And yeah, so like yeah, it's crazy.
Do y'all feel as if everybody voted and if hypothetically, hopefully this does happen, if Trump was to get out of office, everybody voted, or I guess we'll just say Biden's to get elected, do you think, like, what do you think the tone, like the shift would be? Do you think it would be a positive shift? Do you think it would just be more issues but just in a different way?
um,
Do you think it would be like, all right, we got Trump out, so everything's back good? Like, what do you think
The
the
main
I
shift
think
would?
concern
for
now is that I don't like Trump. That's like I'm
Yeah.
settling. I'm a part of the settle for Biden thing. I don't like Biden at all, but like I feel like it's gonna have negative effects in like different ways though. But like I don't understand how you could vote for somebody who like the president. I don't understand how you can vote for him when he's done all these things. At least like test something out, like something different. At least get in trouble like a different way because it's like pathetic and yeah, stuff like that.
yeah, I agree because when you ever heard the term when someone shows you you believe them, when someone shows you who they really are,
Yeah, they,
you believe them.
the true colors. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, dang, I lost my point. So I was just thinking, even if Biden does get elected, I think it's probably gonna be the same as it is now. I think is when she was like saying it's gonna go back to normal. I think it's probably normal now because people still walk out the house without a mask. People still go to a group gathering. Like no one really even remembers that it's a pandemic. So I'm thinking that everyone's mind is on something else other than the pandemic. But at first it was all like, trying not to get sick, using hand sanitizer. But me in the last of November and I never see nobody without a mask. And even me, including myself, I walk outside without a mask, but I always buy one. Extra $5. I'm going broke. But yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like the whole mask situation and people saying they don't want to wear a mask and stuff, that's crazy to me. Like they're involved in like a religion, they're involved in what one man who's very sick right now, they're involving like his opinion on like their lives when there's like literally people dying and stuff. And they're like, yeah, I lost my point, sorry.
It be them Karens right there that don't be wanting to wear their mask when they show up at Walmart talking about they got a medical health disease. Girl, no, you don't. You do not. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You just don't want to wear your mask. Just put it on.
You
It be
really? Oh,
them
you saw? I
Karens.
feel like I saw something like that. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's not
It be
that
them
hard.
Karens. Them
It's
Karens
not
is
that much
crazy.
of an inconvenience.
Okay.
I'm
Now
not gonna lie.
let me ask this. Oh, my bad, dude. I just cut you. My bad, cut you off.
Oh no, sorry. I was just about to say I'm not gonna lie. I left my mask a couple times. It was like that awkward moment when you have, oh my god, I forgot my mask. You gotta like run back in the house and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
Man,
like my
that'd be the
mom
worst.
used to me for that. Like I have no, I'm not joking. I have like 20 masks.
I
Like
forgot
20.
a mask once, and I had to tie a blanket around my face to walk into a store. So you can make your mask too.
I'm dead. You know,
Not
you
the
getting
cardiac
creative with that. But I was about to ask. So let's say we don't vote, or let's say Trump stays in office another 4 years, what do you think? Because I mean, clearly nothing good's gonna come out of that. But what do you think? Does anybody have a theory of like what do you think the downfall will be
Me,
if he stays in office?
I feel like if he stay in office, more people are going to be aware of the actual stuff. Cause like he can't keep his mouth shut. So like the stuff that's going in the White House, everybody know, cause he just talk about it all the time. So like, what was I saying? Um,
Can I add on to your point?
yeah,
Like we already know how his work tactics are, and I feel like the pro of him staying in office is like more people will realize how much of a bad president he is because more things are bound to happen and stuff that's going to affect more of his demographic and stuff. And I feel like that's like the only pro, other than like a few things that he do to like please like the state and stuff. You know, I feel like, but I'm not really worried about Trump right now. I'm worried about his Supreme Court. Like, that's my main focus right
Yeah,
now.
that's what I'm worried about. Also, can I chime in?
You can
So
go.
You got it.
yeah, so as I was saying, I was like, even with everything that's going on, Trump, he doesn't really care. And even if he gets elected for another 4 year term, I think everybody gonna really see how he is. And Trump supporters, they're like, they support him because of I'm not gonna get into my conspiracy theories, but yeah, I think he isn't really who he say he is, and even he says stuff in his rallies and stuff, and people overlook it. And I think what he's saying is really he's showing you who he is, but Trump supporters so blindsided about it that they don't understand.
So with the
I feel
question,
like I feel like some are blindsided, and some just like follow in with his like mess and stuff because like they know like because they like agree with like the stuff that he supports and stuff like supremacy and stuff. Like you can't deny that he supports it and stuff. So I feel like a lot of them are ignorant. At the same time, a lot of them know what they're doing. They just don't care. Um, it is very crazy to me how somebody can support somebody and totally overlook facts. It overlooks religion. It overlooks like everything, and I don't understand how people support him. But I do at the same time because ignorance, bliss, and stuff. Um, yeah, I'm just adding on to what Kamora said. Kamora, but
Yeah,
continue.
yeah, hold on, I'm gonna say one more thing, and yeah, with everything, he's like all his Trump supporters, they're mainly racist and white. So, in my opinion, like they say
he
he's
got
not
some
racist.
black
They
people
say
up in there
he's
too.
not.
It's some black people voting for him too,
Yeah, I
which
know it's like mainly
They're
racist white people though, and
they're bigoted
I
though.
just look at it like they say he's not racist. They say he's not a pedophile and all of this, but most of them are racist white people. So you just got to put the dots together, like how most of y'all racist white people supporting, a racist president.
so
But it is some black people too.
the question I'm going to
And
ask is, how do you do the proper way to research a candidate? I mean, I feel like you all know or see a campaign on TV, but what's the proper way to actually know who's going to be in office? Like to know their whole background.
looking
I
up
feel
a candidate, I don't look on like how the media portrays them. So like little local media shows or something, like local little podcasts. I don't listen to what they say, because it's all very biased and stuff like that. Um, I go to like scientific pages and stuff. Like I do like a lot of digging and stuff, and like compare like papers and researches and stuff. And the thing is, I don't like to be biased. So if like a Republican they say something to me, I will always fact check it with whatever they say, and if they agree, then I'm like, okay, thanks for telling me that. But like if a Democratic does the same thing, that's exactly what I'm gonna do soon. So I feel like you have to like compare both sides. You have to like not focus on media because it's very toxic and very like biased and censored and stuff. So I feel like you will have to go like government sites, because they can't lie about that. They're legally not obligated to, and if they are lying, then mistakes and stuff.
All right. So do you think voting can mark your part in history? That for those people that did vote for Trump and this is his 4 years, do you think it marked his state in history? Or when we
Most definitely,
Barack Obama?
most definitely that mark. people who voted for Trump, they mark their spot in history because he done did a lot of stuff. He done did a lot of stuff, and I bet that did mark their spot in history. So yeah. But I think if we vote when we get to vote, I think it will always mark our spot in history because as Black people, this is a very big deal for us, and everybody that is in the office, we have to look up. Like she was saying, from my experience, I always go back to um past representatives and stuff because when people run for president, they were governors or mayors and stuff. So I always go back to their past campaigns and see how they were. So all votes matter.
Definitely, like how their campaigns like match their how they actually carried it out and stuff. I feel like that's something you have to look at because some people they say something and then they like go and they don't do it and stuff. I feel like looking at their campaigns and their statistics afterwards, it's like definitely a big thing that you have to do.
Okay, Dakar, you got any questions?
Shoot, nah. I think we covered a lot of what we need to cover.
Okay, so the next set of questions I have is, do you know about the voter ID requirements or the polling places? Do y'all know anything about that?
I've never heard of that.
Okay, so what's going on right now is it's taking away from the minority vote, or they dilute the minority vote. So in a sense, polling places will find a way for minorities not to vote, and your requirement might be like, okay, well, I went to jail for this, right? Da da da. Now you can't vote. Do you think felons should still have a right to vote also?
Yeah, well, definitely. Don't quote me on this, but this is a song. Lil Durk, he said he can't even vote he can't even vote for who he believe in. So I think felons should have a right to vote to a certain extent, but y'all shouldn't count them out because I know if a white person went to jail for having a traffic violation and not going to court, they would still go on that ballot and go vote.
Yeah, I believe that women should vote. They like I hear like I tried to hear like from the other side perspective how they feel about it. Like, oh, they're not a good citizen. They're like they're not allowed to. I'm like the democracy is not a dictatorship. Like they're still humans. They still have an opinion and they still to it. I mean, if they did something like serious, like I don't understand how like stealing a car would denounce everything that they feel. Like I believe that's very unhumane way to go about it and stuff.
Okay. I see a Kayla Cook. Do you have any points you would like to make? Maybe she doesn't hear us. All right. Well, the next question I would say is, how do you feel about reduced voting hours? They're trying to cut down our hours to vote. They're trying to say, okay, this is your set amount of hours. You need to vote here. Do you think it should be a better way to voting? Like, do you think they should do online voting, or if you want to go to walk up, okay, cool, let's do this, or should we always have a write-in ballot? Like, how do you feel about reduced hours of voting?
Crazy because like why would you like reduce hours during a pandemic when like everything's hard? Like some people aren't able to, they don't have jobs, so how are they gonna pay for like their cars and stuff? How are they gonna pay for like transportation? How like people have to make time for this. Like they can't just set a certain time to be a part of something that they are legally and like humanly entitled to. So I don't believe that's fair.
Yeah, and I agree with what she's saying. That goes along with when people say, my vote don't matter, this and this, that, because to me, the system is rigged for us to feel that way, that our vote don't matter because reduced voting hours and all of this stuff, minorities can't vote because they have a criminal record. I think the system is rigged for us to think that our vote don't matter. And I think that's what they're trying to tell us, but we should still go in there and do what we got to do because at the end of the day, we're gonna do it for us.
Um, I I'm going off what Contavious said and how he said they make us believe that our vote doesn't matter. So if we believe that, if one person believes that their vote doesn't matter, then it's thousands of other people that also believe that their vote don't matter. So they make us believe that our vote doesn't matter. So that way we don't even put in the effort to vote.
So how does voting better our community? Or you don't see any change in our communities whatsoever?
I feel like
You can talk.
sometimes we change depending.
Mhm.
Yeah, like sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like a big thing in our communities are like real estates. Like that's like a very big thing in our community and voting and stuff. How they because in real estate and stuff, like how they buy the buildings and sell them and like put people homeless and stuff, like make new buildings in our communities. Like real estate is a very big thing. Forget all like, so I mean, if you have like better real estate and stuff, like policing will go down and like the economy for our people will be better. But what I was gonna say,
Are you talking about gentrification?
something like that. But like the way they even look, like we can't, like how expensive they are, and like poverty, like little neighborhoods, is like crazy. I was gonna say something, but like I forgot what the main question was. Can you repeat it real quick?
Does voting change our communities?
Oh yeah, I had saw like somebody say this. Please don't quote me for this, but he was like, when they were made, just like the policing system was made to catch slaves. Like the two parties, they weren't for us; they were for the benefits of white people and the economy that they lived in and that they ruled. Um, I feel like we kind of get in where we fit in and stuff in like politics and stuff, and like we vote for like who would best like who would align with us, like not who would help us but who would align with us, because like I feel like there has never been a politician who's been for us, not even Obama just because he was black, not Biden just because he's not Trump, like not Hillary because she's a woman. Like no politician that I know has ever done anything for the like black community without like something to get from it and stuff.
So
Yeah,
where you
no,
go?
yeah, so I'm gonna agree with her. And when we do vote for necessarily the right people, I don't think that kind of changes our community, because with the foundation that ran, the Arthur Blank Foundation, he's fixing up the whole West End area and the all that area. So I don't see any politicians helping him. He makes his own money and he's trying to do it for the youth. So I don't see any politicians trying to come to this community and help us.
Okay, I think his audio went out. Okay, so the next question I'm going to ask is: there's so many issues out there to tackle, right? So what's the most important issue to you? Even me and the car are going to answer these questions. What is the most important issue to you right now that politicians or no one or anyone is not tackling? And I need everyone to answer on this one.
Can you repeat it again? Your audio is low. I don't know if it's just me.
Okay. There's so many issues out there to tackle. What's the most important issue to you?
I can start this one off. Mass incarceration is one.
Like, ask the question
Gentrification.
because maybe they don't hear my audio.
Huh?
Ask the question again because maybe they don't hear my audio.
Oh,
Can
no,
y'all hear me?
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, Guatavia, yeah, that just went all the way out. But I was about to say mass incarceration, gentrification, education system. It's yeah, it's two more. It's two more. But I was literally just watching a video on it. But those three things definitely are like, these are issues. And it's like when people get voted in, like regardless of, because I forgot who was just saying it, but the president, whoever is elected president, is like, even if they are black, it's technically not their job to be the voice of the black community, because it's just like they're running the country. So it's just like, we can't, even if it like, we couldn't expect Obama to just fix the hood, because it's just like, that's not his job. He's supposed to run the country. But, there's issues in our community that is just, I just feel like us as a people need to, you know, actually put forth an effort to stop. Because, you know, it's easy to just say, to point the blame, oh, this person in office, they didn't do anything. I mean, technically, it's really not their job to do anything. It's just like, and if we don't push for them to make changes for real, then they're definitely not going to do anything.
Okay.
My things
I want
are
to say, oh, no, you
equality.
can go.
I mean, you can talk if you want. Okay. My thing is equality in the community. I feel like we have to be more united because if we're gonna be, you know, I feel like it's equality. The second would be education, not just in like Black communities, but I feel like it should be equal. It should be taught about. I feel like equality should be taught in like school systems all around.
Everyone should be taught the same.
Yes, everybody should be taught the same because it's not. It shouldn't be Black versus white or versus Mexican or versus Latino stuff. I feel like it should be equality taught because like there are a lot of bigoted people. I don't like white people. I don't like Black people. It shouldn't be like that. It should be. I don't like people who don't, fight for equality. I don't like people who aren't for the people, not for like the Black people or the white people or stuff like that. My third thing is, like you said, mass incarceration. That's like a big thing that we should focus on. But I feel like that also goes into like the neighborhoods that we are in. So my last thing would be real estate, because they're not gonna come in here if like because if you have real estate, then it's gonna be more diverse because there's more people that's gonna come here. But then it's also be gentrification, so like lower housing and lower price housing and stuff like that. Just like real estate business and stuff is important. I feel like that's it.
I feel like my two main things is education and the police system, because education would change. Like if people were more informed on certain things, then it would change like a lot of things. And
yeah, because if they know and if they're
May I say something? To answer your question with the one of the problems that we face in America. I know you guys said education. You were saying, Black, white, all the other stuff. But if you want to be politically correct, you would say predominantly white schools, predominantly Black schools in urban areas, rural areas, and also just the system in itself. When you think about it personally, coming from both sides, going to a predominantly Black and predominantly white school, and I see the difference. The difference is the resources, and they're so much better. It can be so much better, and that actually goes into like the gentrification that Miss was talking about. And also another thing I would like to say is when you talk about schools and funding, like funding in certain schools has something to do with the taxes and the property that you are around. You know what I'm saying? So that is one of the main factors when it comes to the reasons why things are the way they are when it comes to school systems. It's not right, and they should fix that. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's actually when I said real estate. I just forgot to say it. Like definitely like raising property taxes and stuff, bringing taxes to the community, bringing money to the community. That's very important. But when you said the morally correct, you said something like that. The correct way to say it. Well, I feel like I said it the correct way because when you use it universally, not just in like, because you said for like predominantly Black, white, whatever schools, like you have to teach it like the same way at every school. Like no one should be like, outside it, because if you're gonna be outside it, you're gonna be like segregated in like opinions and stuff when some things that shouldn't be like, you shouldn't have a split decision on like human rights and stuff. There shouldn't be like a fight between, like laws made for like individual rights and stuff. Like it shouldn't be like a fight against that stuff like that. So that's why I said like education equally for everybody. And when you try to make it equal, some people need more to like imagine if you have like a white school, they have like 5 books, a black school has like 1. Like in order to make it equal, the black school is obviously going to need like 4 more books and stuff like that. So I said that because, you know, although they're going to need more work, it will still be equal and stuff. They just need more work. It's pathetic. That's it.
So you said that it wasn't they need more. Like, are you talking about like equity or no? Is it equality, equity? What did she say? So when you have people that you was talking about they need more books other than white people, like it's not supposed to be equal. It's supposed to be what?
I think you got my words mixed up, because when I said black people need more books, it doesn't mean like just because they get more resources, us getting more resources, like they're still ahead. Like it's not going to do anything. That's what equality is, because we're not equal. That's the problem. And when you're not equal, you're going to need more resources for the people in last place. So when I said like we're going to need more books and stuff, that was an analogy that I was using, so you could probably understand me better. But I feel like I could explain it more if you want.
So like I understand. Okay, who's about to go?
Jemiah.
You can go.
I was going to say, I feel like the biggest problem is racism, because if everyone just thought of us as equals, we wouldn't, have as many problems as we do.
Can I say something about that? Like racism being so, even if we didn't have racist people, which I'm saying that's probably never gonna happen, because you got families that believe certain things, so they're gonna pass their beliefs down to their children. So it's gonna be a point in time where it maybe like thousands of years from now we might be equal, but then again we still might not. And another thing is, even if you made it to where people weren't racist, black people are still gonna hold themselves to a different standard. So like, a lot of things they do go back to slavery and how we were treated, but then again, some things you can't blame on slavery. So like the way you act, or like the way you treat other people, saying as like if a black person, like the way another black person treats them out, doesn't, like, they might blame it on slavery, which that don't have nothing to really do with it. That's mainly how you grew up and stuff like that. So I feel like even if we were equal, black people are still gonna hold themselves to different standards. And
yeah, I feel like it's like that weird amount of like generational anger and stuff, because like they were like raised, they've been through it. So I totally understand why they would be upset. But I feel like if you really want equality and you really want justice for your people, then you should be equal and stuff. Like the people in the community, like they say like the craziest things and like blame their own personal problems that sometimes people can like actually fix. It's not about like systematic racism or something. Like some people actually have the ability to do those things, and they blame it on white people, which is totally not okay, because in order for both sides to get better, to become like one, we have to both put in work and stuff. So yeah, I agree with what Chloe said.
All right, Angel, I know you were talking. What would you like to say?
I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask a question about she was saying something about when you have, if it was equal and they were given the same resources, are you saying, well, they wouldn't put it to use, or they wouldn't like actually, if they were given the same resources, black and white people, and are you saying that even if they were given equality, they wouldn't put it to use, like it wouldn't be because they would already be ahead? But honestly, that's not true, because
I didn't say that.
so
I think
you're trying to say that's what it was. It was just a question.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I didn't say that though. Like I said, I wasn't talking about resources. I use resources as like an analogy. It was an analogy. It wasn't meant to be taken literally. I meant books as in knowledge, because I mean you can have the resources, but like I mean in quality in the knowledge that they teach. You feel me? Like the resources that they teach. Like black kids need more resources because they're not going to know these things. But in the resources, they need to be equal, because that's what they need to be taught throughout all schools. It's not about, you know, putting the book. It's not about, oh, you have more books and paper than me. Oh, you have more, you know, you have a glass building. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm literally talking about you need to be taught about the pros and cons about every single like racial dispute that there has been. You need to be taught about these things equally. And I feel like if they were taught in black schools, then, you know, they would have more motivation to go out and do these things, to become more politically inept, you know. I don't understand though how you're like misunderstanding it though.
So I guess in a sense, what you're asking it or what you're saying is that you feel like the black communities or our education system is behind, in a sense. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, actually, I do
Okay.
Okay.
feel like
Okay. So
we need more help.
now that you said like the education system is behind, but to be completely honest, the education system is behind because we're behind. So even if we were given the resources that, you know, the the white schools were given, and we were given the same funding that the white schools were given, we we still wouldn't we still wouldn't be the same. We still wouldn't be the same. We still wouldn't
So
be
you saying
equal
that? So
because
you saying it's inevitable, even if we were given the exact same resources, the exact same funding,
It's not
because
about
the difference between our schools
exact
and their
same
schools is the people.
education, we still would be behind.
See, you're putting it
Yeah.
in like a material
No,
way.
no,
Like, we're
no.
literally not
I'm
talking
That's
not.
about
I'm not.
no,
I'm
resources.
no.
saying
It's
like
more so like
everything.
about how they teach it and how they
If
go
we
about
were
it. Because in
given
the schools that we
if
are
we were
in, like,
given the exact
they don't teach
same
it equally.
resources, if we were given the exact same anything, if we were given the exact same anything, you still saying that we still would be behind?
Yes.
Babe, listen to what I'm saying, please. Like, literally,
No, wait,
it's how they
Jamia,
teach it. Like,
Jamia.
how they
It's
teach it.
not.
I'm not talking about like materialistic stuff.
It's
So,
not
I'm not
just
talking
how
about
they teach it.
materialistic stuff.
It also. Wait, can I talk, please? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
It also goes back to how, like, the difference between a white school. I'm gonna say white school because it's white school, and a black school is that the people at the black school don't want to learn. They're not interested in learning. They
well,
think
Because no one
okay,
showed
so the
them a
question,
different era. No one showed them, hey, you can go out here and this is how you can make money.
yeah.
Look at what they're around. Look at what they do at home. That's why they
Exactly.
activated.
That's
They don't
literally what
see
I'm saying.
what they're supposed to do. But that doesn't mean that you don't have individuals that want to learn, that want to go get it, that actually want to do something in life.
And
You can't
nobody said they
base that
didn't, but for
around
the ones that
everybody that
don't,
they're still going to be behind, because it's people out here that's trying, even though they are in a school that's technically behind. They're trying. There are people out there trying.
yes, and it's because of the other side. Like, we both have to be on the same page. That's literally why I said that. When I said stuff like when I said to be taught equally, that's why I said that black schools need it more because they need more motivation to do those things. Totally understand that there's black people who already need that, but like if understand that like if there's more people on our team, like through the black community, if we're more united, like we need more of those people. That's the problem, and that's what we have to achieve and stuff. Like, but we're constantly going to get held down from like white schools because they're supremacy to us, because you know we are a minority and you can't deny the fact that we are. So saying that even though we have the resources, it's not about resources, and I don't think that you're understanding me when I say that.
So the question I'm gonna ask is, do you feel like the funding in black school system is correct? Do you think we need more funding? And I'm going to say that I believe most of you attend Washington. I'm just going to say, how do you feel like the funding is at your school? And let's talk about that instead of like just going from.
I feel
Funding
like
is
the funding at our school is based on what
Go next.
we. So like when they say what you put in is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
So the amount of effort that, and I'm not saying that the black people don't want to learn, because there are some that don't, but there are also people and teachers that push their students to actually want to learn and to push them to know that there is other things outside of the world rather than your community. And I feel like if we had more people like that, then our funding would go up, because if there's more people interested in learning, then there's more people actually putting in the money for students to learn.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
like Like
Mhm.
in the reason why Black schools don't get as much funding is because they don't people don't the people that actually fund the schools don't feel like they need to be funded. So they feel
Yes.
like if they put their money into the school, then it's not gonna go to use. So if people put their money into buying new books and stuff like that, then they know that like half the books in our school, they gonna have writing all over them. They're not gonna be used and stuff like that. So
Okay, I think
Yes,
you're one.
that's like very fundamental. I feel like it starts I'm sorry. I feel like it starts in like the community first. Because like obviously like if you're raised around people who don't care about school, well not even care about school, like if you're raised around people who have had to like fake it till they make it, like in the streets and stuff, like you can't expect people to like not continue doing that. So I feel like communities need more attention first, because you're like if you how do I explain this, like housing, like bringing us together and stuff, like even like gun violence and stuff, black on black crime, it's like crazy like how people who go to school and they don't take advantage of it. Like they literally like blow over it writing books and stuff. Like this is actually something fundamental, and I feel like people should be in the community rather in education, because it starts in the community first, because that's where you go home every day at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
So
That's where
May
can
I
I
ask
say
a question?
something?
Okay,
Hey,
yeah.
Oh, my bad. So yeah, with me, I grew up. My dad, I grew up in Brooklyn. So I grew up in the, in the hood. And when we moved down here to Georgia, it's like I got so many family members and seen so many people. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they necessarily don't care about the community when you've been neglected for so long and grew up in this community. That's all you know. That's all you know, and that's what you put out. And I'm not gonna say that some people are weak and they can't change their mindset, but that's just the reality of it. And some people grew up in these communities, and this is all that they know. So it's not like they can change. And with me, I grew up and I could change because my dad, he grew up back in the day and all that. I'm not gonna speak on that, but we grew up in this community, and I'm glad that I had a household where they can teach me to be better than where I grew up at. So not everybody has that. Not everybody, actually necessarily doesn't want to learn. That's just how they grew up.
all right, Angel, you go, and then after that, we're going to start to wrap it up. Can you hear me, Angel?
What you say?
Say you can go, and then after that, we're going to start to wrap it up. So it's on you.
Was this about the funding?
Yeah. How do you feel
Yes,
about
sir.
the funding?
The funding, I feel as if the funding comes from the neighborhood, the property taxes, which means that in certain areas, for an example, like North Atlanta, and you see houses that people buy $500,000 houses. It don't matter. Well, anyways, they pay property taxes, which means that that funding of that property tax goes to that school. You see, so when you're in another area, such as South Atlanta or something, I'm just naming something, it's not the same because of the property taxes. Now you see, even if you're in the same area, some and even if you're in the same area and you see those houses, and for an example, it might go to like a north or south school in the same area, it's, or county, like Fulton County, you'll see that it most of the funding is going to the higher paying higher tax bracket right there. So that's why you see it. But it's supposed to be equal across the entire board, but it's not. And that's all I have to say about that. That's self-explanatory.
So with the closing statement we're going to say is I want everyone just give me one word, one statement on the best way you feel like we all can make a difference, if that's voting or your own personal opinion. But just one word.
Uh, maybe
oh
not.
my god.
Maybe a little more than word. Maybe like a phrase. I think one
Yeah,
word
okay.
maybe a little
Great.
too
Yeah.
small. But I guess I'll word the question like this. Like, what is like what's like the first step to like, all right, this is how we're gonna elevate ourselves, our community, stuff like that. What do y'all think the first step is?
I feel like community gatherings are something like really cool and stuff. Like if we have like annual community gatherings and stuff, obviously like a lot of people's gonna come out and then it's gonna gather attention and then it's like, cause have you ever been like to a gathering in the community? Like I'm not
Like
gonna
a
say
festival? Oh.
something like that, but like how do y'all know
Or like more like
y'all know
like
Zone 6 Day?
Zone 6 Day. Yeah, I ain't been to that, but I know what you're
Something
talking
like that, but like less violent. But like
about.
um like when you go there, it's like very like homely and it's like very like fun and like everybody like knows each other because it's our community and stuff. And I feel like it's very like heartwarming to do stuff like that. And it
Yeah.
gathered like a lot of attention from the media. So if you get attention from the media, you get invested and you get people watching and you get people, you see like people's there's like attention that you can get, philanthropists and stuff like that. So I feel like, like having annual community gatherings as a community to come together and stuff and like
Yeah.
speak your piece and stuff like that, talk to people and like have fun and like not always feel like you're like by yourself and stuff is like very important. So that's what I feel like will help a lot.
And they got the Malcolm X Festival and Juneteenth, stuff like that too. They have annually.
Kayla's mic is messed up, but she said that we could also invest in ourselves and fund our own schools in a way. I think that's a very good point.
Great point.
Chloe, you would like to go next?
Sure. I feel like the first step is getting people interested in wanting to do stuff and wanting to be better than the community that they in. And yeah.
That's a good point too, because people got to be.
They gotta
But
want to do
that's
something.
yeah.
They gotta
But that's
want to do
changing.
something before they can do it.
And with me, I think is the first step is stop silencing everyone. Stop being so judgy and let people dream. Because when you dream, it's more likely some good to come out of it. And with our community, is like you can't be gay, you can't do this, you can't do that. Let people dream and let people be themselves. Because when we be ourselves, more good stuff will come out of it.
Yeah, and it low-key sucks though,
100%.
because I feel like that's not gonna happen with like the current society that we're in, ran by like conservatives and like homophobes and racists and stuff. I feel like that is very important, but I feel like it starts in like I feel like you have to start small before you try to go big first, because it's definitely not gonna happen. Like Chloe said earlier, like it'll always be racism. People will always think they're better. Like it goes against some people's religion to be gay and stuff. So it's obviously, not gonna change. But I feel like people should let people be themselves and stuff.
Jamia or Jamia?
Jamaya.
Got it.
I feel like the first thing that people should do is to listen, like to listen to other people and to listen to other people's side instead of just going based off what they think.
That's a good point. Maya? Okay. Dylan?
I guess I could sum mine up in one quick word. Just communication. I guess similar to this, just coming together and talking is it's just good. Maybe you got something on your mind, something you want to say. So yeah, just communication.
And Angel?
I wanted to say that my daughter used to play. Acknowledging the problem is not justifying the norm, and just maybe youth programs, but also to think about that and understand that there is a problem, because a lot of people, they walk around, they think that everything is okay. Maybe we know everyone doesn't think that there's a problem, and it is a problem, but a lot of people is living like this is okay and they like this, and it's not okay.
Okay.
Great point too.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for all y'all that attending the podcast or the
We
conversation. Everyone had amazing points. I mean, to be high schoolers or young adults, I mean, you said more than most
to people our age, shoot,
ever said.
you know.
Yeah,
My
and that explains that our voice matters also. So I let y'all go. My bad.
Hmm.
I know you good, you good.
I don't know. Yeah,
I
you said
can't
it definitely
wait
better than
for
what we could say.
open stuff so some of our people can get into office. So I'm really excited for that. I hope it happens because I'm so sick of like, cause like I think it's crazy. Like the president has to be like over 35 or something, but like
Yeah,
that, like very old. That is old. It's so that's old.
And that's
Well, the reason why they do it like that is because in order for you to even become president, you have to have some kind of experience in
Yeah.
shit,
in
Trump ain't had no experience.
because if you're 25, you just got out of school like what 3 years ago.
But I
You
feel
ain't
like if
you know what you
everybody in
about.
office is like old, like what? Like that's very like conservative and like very like not. I don't. What's the word? I keep forgetting the word every time I'm about to say it. I feel like having one because like if
Cause
everybody's
they not
old,
with they
you're
not
gonna
with
have
the
that one
times.
mindset,
Yeah, yeah,
and you're not gonna get all the problems fixed because it's not very diverse. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be very conservative. Yeah, old people are just conservative. Love them though, but like,
So I'm
Jesus.
gonna just say one more thing, and I'm gonna let y'all. I think that one of the first steps is to bring new dated stuff. Everything that we do is outdated. Like she said, president has to be over 35, or we still got these textbooks in school, or just different thing. Everything that we go by, all that stuff is outdated. Let's start by making some new stuff, making some new laws, making some new things that's actually going to change because all the stuff that we're going by is so outdated.
that's real.
And
We gotta go with the times.
I was definitely about to say from the conversation we've had with y'all, I can tell the next generation after us is well off.
Man,
Amazing. So hopefully by the next 4 years when you can vote, you can probably vote for 22-year-old if you want to. We don't know what was happening.
Oh God, no.
but keep educating yourselves, keep pushing y'all people. Y'all got some peers that when they get older, they're not gonna want to vote. You gotta just you gotta have that conversation with them, keep it a butt with them. Like ain't nothing gonna happen if we don't sit here and do nothing. Even with just not even just with voting, but just being active in y'all community. Y'all don't have to be freedom riders, but play your part in whatever you can, and then keep pushing yourselves and pushing y'all people as y'all get older. So we appreciate y'all, and I'm gonna let Curry wrap us out.
All right, yeah, and that's another episode of the Bucket List, and this is our virtual setting again. I'm Money Green, better known as KG. We got Rockstar Z, and we got the
Yes, sir.
Scars of American Explorers. Thank you for allowing us to have you on, and hopefully we can make a difference.
Peace.
All right, bye.